Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for your children. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for your children, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for your children, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace.
I'm reading from the book Vivekananda, World Teacher by Swami Adishwarananda. The chapter is Great Spiritual Teachers of the World, Christ the Messenger. This lecture was given by Swami Vivekananda in Los Angeles, California in 1900. Swamiji says, we see in the life of this great messenger of light the first watchword, not this life, but something higher. We find Jesus of Nazareth to be a true son of the Orient, intensely practical. He has no faith in this evanescent world and its various belongings. The best commentary on the life of a great teacher is his own life. The foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not where to lay his head. That is what Christ says is the only way to salvation. He lays down no other way. Let us confess in sackcloth and ashes that we cannot do that. We still have a fondness for me and mine. We want property, power, wealth. Woe unto us. Let us confess and not put to shame that great teacher of humanity. He had no family ties. Do you think that that man had any physical ideas in him? Do you think that this mass of light, this God and not man, came down to earth to be a brother of animals? And yet people make him preach all sorts of things. He had no sex ideas. He was the soul, nothing but the soul, just working through a body for the good of men. And that was all his relation to the body. In the soul, there is no sex. The disembodied soul has no relationship to the animal, no relationship to the body. The ideal may be far beyond us, but never mind. Keep to the ideal. Let us confess that it is our ideal, but we cannot approach it yet. He had no other idea of himself, no other except that he was spirit. He was disembodied, unfettered, unbound spirit. And not only so, but he, with his marvelous vision, had found that every man and woman, whether Jew or Gentile, whether rich or poor, whether saint or sinner, was the embodiment of the same undying spirit as himself. Therefore, the one work of his whole life was calling upon them to realize their own spiritual nature. Give up, he says, these superstitious dreams that you are low and that you are poor. Think not that you are trampled upon and tyrannized over as if you were slaves, for within you is something that can never be tyrannized over, never be trampled upon, never be troubled, never be killed. You are all sons of God, immortal spirit. Know ye, he declared, the kingdom of heaven is within you. I and my Father are one. Dare not only to stand up and say, I am the Son of God, but also to find in your heart of hearts, I and my Father are one. That was what Jesus of Nazareth said. He never talks of this world and of this life. He has nothing to do with it, except that he wants to get hold of the world as it is, give it a push, and drive it forward and onward until the whole world has reached to the effulgent light of God, until everyone has realized his spiritual nature, until death is vanquished and misery banished. Yes.
Now a short period of meditation. Good morning, friends. Christmas being not far away, so we thought of talking about Jesus, the Christ we worship. You know, in the Ramakrishna tradition, we are very intimately connected with Jesus. Sri Ramakrishna himself had practiced the sadhana according to Christianity, and it was culminated in the vision of Jesus. You know how he was under the Panchavati in third day of his Christian sadhana, and he suddenly saw a wonderful person the face looking not common in Bengal, like a foreigner, just he saw. And he saw it was glowing with divinity. And he thought, who can this person be? And then he remembered, suddenly it flashed to his mind, oh, Jesus, who had to suffer all torments for the sake of humanity, to take away the sin of whole humanity. This is this merciful, divine Son of God, Jesus. And that being, that personality, that person came towards Sri Ramakrishna, embraced Sri Ramakrishna, and merged in the body of Sri Ramakrishna. Jesus is an avatar, incarnation of God, as is Krishna, as is Rama, as is Buddha, as is Chaitanya. That's what Sri Ramakrishna always told through his experience. And that reverence flows through the Ramakrishna order, that Jesus is one of the most prominent manifestation, full manifestation of divinity, whom we call incarnation of God. Swami Vivekananda wanted to establish monastic order, and it was on the direction of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna had said during his last illness to Swami Vivekananda, take care of these young boys. See that they don't go back to home, return back to their household life. Live together in the practice of realization of God. And he also had given ochre robes, a sign of monastic life, to 11 of these would-be monks. Total 16 of Sri Ramakrishna disciples, 11 were there at the time. And another 12th one was Girish Ghosh, who had got it. They had not yet taken the formal vows of monasticism. Sri Ramakrishna had passed away in August. But they had started living together. Swami Vivekananda, some had returned home. Swami Vivekananda inspired them to come back and live in the brotherhood. Parents were not happy with Swamiji, but yet they lived together without taking yet the final monastic vows. They decided once to go to a village, the house of one of them, Baburam Ghosh, in a small village. In that village, at the night, they said, let us meditate, burn a bonfire, and meditate around the fire. It was late. And Swami Vivekananda, inspired, he started talking about the glory of renunciation. And he talked all about from the life of Jesus, not from the life of Shukadeva, not even from the life of Sri Ramakrishna, who was their most beloved Guru. But all inspiration came to him from the life of Jesus the Christ, and spoke eloquently about the need of renunciation and becoming the monk and taking the final monastic vows to make the nucleus of the order of Ramakrishna mission, which is going to do a great work for humanity. Atmano mokshatam jagadhitaya was yet to be firmly established in 1897. It was 1886 winter season. After that was done, they all then vowed in their mind to become monks. Later on, next day they realized that was Christmas Eve. 24th of December 1886. Swami Vivekananda didn't know that was Christmas Eve. Nobody knew. But how Jesus came to inspire them to renounce the world and dedicate their life to reach God and to serve humanity. So Jesus becomes the inspiration for Ramakrishna mission monks. And not only monks, to the household devotees as well, because one of the pillars of Ramakrishna teaching is harmony of religions and respect for all prophets and incarnation, equal respect as their own Ishta. Jesus becomes one equal to Sri Krishna, to Sri Rama, to Sri Ramakrishna. That's why we worship Jesus, because he is, as is Sri Krishna, as is Shiva, as is Vishnu, so is Jesus the Christ. Moreover, Jesus Christ's teachings are like the teachings of Gita. It is for whole humanity. It is non-sectarian. The messages are universal. They are compatible to be practiced by any person. Jesus is worshipable, adorable to all of us. Hindus at large are very liberal-minded. They accept the teachings of people who were not born in their own tradition. They respect Guru Nanak, who never spoke about the Vedas, as one of the great gurus, and follow them like their own guru. There are Hindus in Punjab for whom Guru Nanak is as respectable and as adorable as a Sikh for a Sikh. So there is no distinction. Hindus respect Mahavira and Jaina tradition. Hindus respect Buddha and as one of the incarnations. So for Hindus it's not difficult to accept Jesus the Christ as incarnation of God. When incarnation comes, they come with a mission and they have a message. And they are aware of their role in life, what for they have been born, what they have to do, and they know that they are going to establish a new era, new age, which will be important and which will be befitting to the coming time. That Jesus was aware from his very young time. How he was confident, we know from the story. When he was lost, parents didn't find him. They came back searching him. He was a young boy at that time. And mother said, Jesus, and they found him in the temple. And mother said, you are here, we are searching for you. Why didn't you come with us? Jesus, the boy said, I was in my father's house, didn't you know? They were always aware. In that boyhood also he was aware of his mission in life, to where he belonged, as is the case with any incarnation of God, in any religion, in any faith. There is one religion, in fact. Different religions are the manifestation of that one religion. Different prophets, different incarnations, they come in different times and different places to guide humanity to the same goal. They consider the whole humanity as their someone to give their message. It is not sectarian. It is not for particular people. That was the Jesus message. Jesus always spoke with authority. He knew his mission. He knew who he was. As he said, I am the Son of God. And that's why he could say that his message is everlasting. Maybe they are aware that their message, if the people at that time are not able to accept the message, they know that their message will last after this. Temporarily they can't understand, but the time will come, it will be everlasting. That's why they say, Jesus said, go ye, therefore, and teach all nations, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. To all nations, to everywhere, to whole humanity, because the message is for whole humanity. Avatara has tremendous faith in their mission and their message. As the these are based on the conviction of their realization who they are. They have the clear vision of the message that will be followed. Temporarily, it might not be, but they know. That's why they came to fulfill the need of the age. Swami Vivekananda writes in the Christ, the Messenger, that small lecture he spoke there, that Jesus came to rouse the society in which he was born and give them the path which was steeped in materialism. They have forgotten what is the way for blessedness, what is the purpose of life. They have forgotten God. Even the temples had become a place of business. Money changing, slaughtering, giving money to the priests, all was centered around the money and sense enjoyments. That was not the humanity is for. That is not the goal of human beings. Whether we know or we do not know, that is not the ultimate goal of human life. And Jesus said them how vehemently he reacted, there. He often whipped people and sent them out. What are they doing to my Father's place? He knows his mission. He knows where the humanity was going. He was so sad, felt so bad to see the people engaged, forgetting God, were engaged in materialistic thing in the temple itself. That was too much for the Son of God to bear with. So that was the vehement reaction that he had. Jesus, that's why they came to fulfill the need of the age, to guide humanity to love God, to serve each other, to control oneself, and to make the life blessed. Jesus also thought, people often, these are how these great teachers are misunderstood. Sri Ramakrishna, people called him mad Brahmin, that was the term, Pagla Bamun, that common people used to say. He's Brahmin, but he seems to be crazy. They often are felt crazy. Jesus was not an exception to that. Even now, people who study life of Jesus, they call him, he had mental disorder. These teachings are so high and so great, they cannot feel. The people who are submerged in materialistic life and engrossed in sense enjoyment, they can't feel. To love others is greater joy. To serve others is the real purpose of life. To love God is the real way for blessedness. They cannot feel. Only they can think that it should be all earning money and having joy born of sense enjoyments, sense gratification, which is very limited. These incarnations come to show them the broad way, the real path, and that's why they are not understood by everyone. And often they call, Jesus said, if someone slaps on your one cheek, turn another cheek to him. He says, this is a mad person-like thing. You have to resist. Only they think they are the one person, you have to take revenge, resist and all that. That's why they think there was a mental disorder in the teachings, in the life of Jesus. Some people think that way, some psychiatrists. Though Jesus was not a case of psychiatrists, those people who call themselves the psychiatrists, they are the object of the psychiatry actually. Because they cannot understand and they criticize the life of Jesus. We often try to criticize the life of great incarnations. There are many cases whom we say, why Rama did this, why Krishna did this, why Sri Ramakrishna did this. There may be so many objects and so many questions. Swami Vivekananda was suffering, Sri Ramakrishna knew everything. Why didn't he do anything for Swami Vivekananda? There might be questions. Why didn't he why he had to ask him to go to Mother Kali when he was in great distress? Why didn't he give him little peace? He had to undergo so much suffering. We, with our small, little intellect and little ideas, we don't understand what the purpose of the incarnation of life of incarnation of God is. Why Rama banished Sita when she was pregnant. So much of criticism you will find any thinking person. The best answer to that, if you are not able to reconcile with that, best answer is, I really can't find out. There might be some purpose, there might be some reason. That incarnations of God know. I can't really understand that. We have to stand there. And we cannot say, it was wrong for Rama to send Sita there. Then it will be too much of our egoistic nature and too much of our impunity on those great works of great avatars. They know from their standpoint what is right. They can never be wrong. That is their life. Their whole life shows they can never be wrong. Jesus often, as I read that, he said that, go and teach what I have commanded. Who is that I? Jesus often says I in his teachings. Who is that I? That I is always that has the Tao at the basis, the supreme God, the supreme underground reality at the basis. Their I is like our I, this individual, the small, insignificant personality as I. Their I is infinite consciousness, the supreme self is their I. When they say I. In the Gita also, Sri Krishna says, Aham Atma Gura. I am Atma in the self of all. I am who is that? It's not Sri Krishna that the human being is born as a human being. Sri Krishna is the divine consciousness. That is in all we have to understand. Some people who don't know this, they'll say, oh, Jesus was very egoistic. He said, I command you. It's like egoistic, he's a very dictator. People can say, but whose fault if we see dictatorship in Jesus? Is it Jesus' fault or is it my fault? So we have to always understand. Incarnations of God have great power. Their aura of attraction, it's infinite. We know in the life of Jesus how people started coming to him, listening to him after he performed some miracle. Miracle was the smaller things. But people started following him out of love, out of attraction. They say incarnations of God get attraction like the magnet attracts iron, like that they attract. We find in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. He had gone to one kirtan and in Shihor. And this kirtan was going on, and for 3 days he was always surrounded by people around Sri Ramakrishna encircling. They were not leaving him and singing the glory of the name of God. Jesus also, when he invited, he saw a sea of human beings that they came to listen to him, to see him. That was the attraction of Jesus, with mere people, who were antagonistic, selfish, materialistic, worldly, priest class. All they were afraid of another power coming. Always it happens. They think that another power coming. This power is the divine power. This power is not materialistic power. He was the king of kings. He was not the king of certain land. He was the king of heart. And where was that kingdom? Kingdom was in the heart, not on the piece of land. People don't understand that. Jesus also had that attraction. People used to come in, like big crowds used to be gathered. We know how the Sermon on the Mount was done. He had invited, and when he saw a multitude of people there, then he wanted to give his teachings to the people who could understand. And then he asked them to come at the top of the mountain, the Mount of Beatitude. And there he said some of the teachings, very core teachings, as Swami Vivekananda was giving lectures in United States. Halls used to be full, and people used to come in multitude there. And then after giving lectures, he could feel that people's minds were rising. They were being elevated by listening to his lecture, common men and women. But he found that it was not being permanent in them. It was reason, and when they went out of that, they were forgetting, or sometimes they were getting even lower, at the lower level. So they couldn't retain what they heard and got from Swami Vivekananda. So Swami Vivekananda thought, let me choose a few people and make a permanent impression of these holy teachings in them. And he went to Thousand Island Park, was there for a few weeks, like 6-7 weeks, and there he gave the teachings. Now it's printed as inspired talks. Jesus went to the Mount of Beatitude, and there he gives the core and the cream of the Bible is there. The teachings, like if the Gita is the cream of the Vedas, whole Vedas, the cream is the Gita. Like similarly, the Sermon on the Mount is the cream of the whole Bible. And we are very conversant, we have all read these teachings. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in spirit is less of ego. Ego is the problem where God doesn't come. Kingdom of heaven is here, and in that kingdom of heaven we have put ourselves. God is replaced. So make it poor, make the ego smaller, insignificant. Then God, you'll reveal the God is there. They say there is a nice couplet in Hindi. Prema ki gali ati sakaro, isme tu na samay. The lane of love, you have to walk. It's very narrow. Two cannot go in that together. Either you have to go or God has to go. You remove your ego, you'll find God there. So that's what Jesus said. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Meek, humble, those who can deal with other people, are not egoistic, are not arrogant, but adjusting with all, making friendship with all. Those are the people who will really make impression on the other people. They will inherit the earth. They will always live on this earth. This humility is a great quality of strength. It is not something negative. It is very positive. That's what he says. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Righteousness. I want to improve myself. I want to lead a life of dharma. And only this simple wanting will not do. You have to have hunger and thirst for that. Tremendous zeal to follow the path of dharma, to make yourself progress in spiritual life. And then you will have real that thing, righteousness. For they shall be filled. There is a promise. If you practice with sincerity, one-pointedness, the God will come. God will reveal. Sri Ramakrishna also said that. Have sincerity. Have three things in you. Love God with three-pointed attraction. As a mother loves her son, her child. As a wife loves her husband, or husband loves her wife. And as a greedy person loves his wealth and possession. These three great attractions combined together and directed towards God. How can God keep himself away? He has to reveal. But intensity you can imagine. Each is great, intense thing. This intensity for loving God has to be combined intensity of these three different types of attractions that is often seen in the world. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. With that practice comes purity. And there is the promise, for they shall see God. There is no doubt. It is not just making people to assure and making people to just say that you may get. It's not get. They shall see God. They will definitely see God. Only that purity of heart has to be obtained through spiritual practice, through love of God, through service, through the repetition of the name of God. Do that. Your heart will be purified and God will come. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Sri Ramakrishna says three things are the obstruction for love, increasing love of God. Lajjat hinabhay, shame, hatred, and fear. That's why it says, what people say, if in the name of God people revile you, you have become like this, don't be afraid. You will be rewarded for that. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they, the prophets, which were before you. Be one-pointed, have firm conviction that when I love God, when I do the right things, what may the people say? I'm doing that, I'm on the right track. Have that faith in the words of God. And Jesus said this thing. And how much Jesus has faith on his disciples? How God has faith on devotees? Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. When we start absorbing the power, purity of God through our love for Him, then there comes that power in us. And that power is manifested through our behavior. through our prayer. And people say, when we are full of that power and we start blazing, that story of Swetaketu is there, that he went to forest and he got spiritual instruction from fire, animals and birds. And when he comes back to his Guru, Guru says, "My dear child, your face shines like a Noara Brahman." There was glow in the face. The change of our heart is reflected in our face and our behavior. That's what Jesus said, "Ye are the light of the world. A city that has set on a hill cannot be hid." People will see you, people will understand you, people will benefit from you. We need to be connected with that divinity. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. See Karma Yoga. Jai Sri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Hail Mary. Glory to Jesus. All this, they will see your work. But whom will they glorify? Not you. They will glorify your Father who is in heaven. They will glorify God. Because you also want to glorify God, not yourself. Your identity now is with God. That's what when Avatara comes, this sort of teaching they give to human beings, that they see the light. Then he says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I have not come to destroy, but to fulfill." Always it is there. Buddha came, he didn't speak about Vedas, but he didn't come to destroy anything that is good in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. His life was inspired by the teachings of Upanishad. What he wanted to change is unnecessary slaughtering of animals, people being too much materialistic, only doing for the sake of enjoyment, nothing doing spiritual practice. He wanted to rectify the humanity but not to destroy. Sri Ramakrishna also said this thing, this very thing he said. I come not to destroy. The Holy Mother said Sri Ramakrishna came not to destroy. He accepted everything, he said. Even the local traditions Sri Ramakrishna accepted, like hachi tik tiki, like sneezing, you do it happens that way. And when the house lizard makes sound, it will happen that way. Those common things also Sri Ramakrishna never said, don't follow that. They don't reform. The prophets are not reformers. Reformers have different traditions, trends. They are meant for doing some other small things. Prophets come for a bigger purpose in life. They want to lead the whole humanity and give them direction. That is the purpose of prophets. Their life cannot be thought with those things. For I say unto you that except your righteousness and exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Big responsibility the avatars put on us. How much good we have to be. We have to be seen as different from the common people in our attitude, in our behavior, in our purity. That has to be manifested there. Not to glorify ourselves again, to glorify the Lord, to glorify God, to glorify the reality, to glorify Brahman. And with that, all avatars are glorified. Ye have heard that it was said of them in old times, Thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you, that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. Not big things. Control anger. Only not killing will not do. Control your anger. That itself will be counted. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So, control your words, control your angers, be a normal, well-behaved person. Otherwise, there is punishment for you. Punishment of heaven. We don't have to go to heaven to get this punishment. This punishment will come in this own life. When some bad word slips through our mouth, first punishment comes from our own self. Why did I say that? Second punishment comes from the reaction of other person who starts becoming angry with you. Third punishment comes from other person. Oh, I heard you said something bad. You can't control your mouth. Why you behave that way? All these are the punishment that came by the word that slipped through your mouth. That is the punishment of heaven to you. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembers that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. With an impure, angry, disturbed heart, you come to pray to God. That you cannot fully give your heart to God. God has to be prayed with all your heart and all your soul and all your might and all your strength. And when you come, half of your mind going, oh, that person, and always blaming other person. If you blame yourself, there must be something wrong. Why I did that? There is every chance that your heart will be purified. Blaming yourself in the thing that we do, or trying to see the reason in your behavior. What there is wrong on your part will always purify your heart. But if you always try to blame others, then you cannot pray with your full heart. Jesus is so categorical in saying, when you are not pure, peaceful, calm and serene in your mind, and you come to pray to me, how can you pray? How to connect? Prayer is the connection between God and the soul. How is there that connection? It is always obstruction is there in connection. The wire is already broken. The continuous flow of the mind to God and the God's blessing coming to you is already broken through your behavior with your own brother. This brother may not be your own brother. Any human beings are our brothers and sisters. That's what Jesus said. When he said about your brother, between two brothers. Between any two human beings is the relation that way. So, to avoid, to come with a distracted mind. Okay, I came mind is distracted, so I didn't offer my flowers, I didn't offer my prayer. That is not the question. Question is, don't let such situations arise that you have to, when you come to temple, you have some altercation with other persons. Be always full of love for other beings. That's beautiful thing that Jesus said, so universal. Ye have heard that it had been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. It's very common people say. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Be cordial. But that is spirituality. That is the inner growth. Oh, those who do harm to you, can you pray for them? Can you forgive them? That is the thing of forgiveness. Can you forgive them? This is what Jesus taught and how Jesus showed in his life what forgiveness is, to what extent it is. All the prophets, all the holy person you see, Holy Mother's life, what a forgiveness she had in her life. She could not say anything, harsh words even to others. That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven, for that maketh his sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on just and on the unjust. How Jesus is trying to mold everyone in that light as a perfect human being who doesn't hate anyone, who doesn't hate any evil even, that because God is equal to all, being established in equanimity. Swami Vivekananda in one of his photographs a sign. That the sign of realization is attaining equanimity. For ye love them which love you. What reward have ye? Do not even the publicans the same? And if ye salute your brethren only, what do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. That's what the teachings of Jesus are. So universal, so grand, so wonderful. Swami Vivekananda said that one of his teachings, if you follow one of them, you can It contains the whole of the scriptures of whole mankind, of all religions. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And attaining the purity of heart is everything that our spirituality seeks. So how to attain that purity? That we know, and we need to practice for that. Other things talking about the avatars, they are so powerful, so pure, so special that they form a class by themselves. The avatars, Sri Ramakrishna says, are the class by themselves. They cannot be compared with any other being. Why was Jesus born? Of course, to guide humanity. And as Sri Krishna had said, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, whenever there decline of dharma, righteousness, right path, I set forth myself, I embody myself to show human beings the path, to show the humanity an ideal life through the message and their own example. Human beings require example and evidence to show the way, otherwise they cannot understand. Just teaching won't understand. Jesus said, forgive. How to forgive? How much to forgive? And he showed by himself how much he forgave the people, how he endured his own passions, how he was treated, ill-treated, and he had nothing against anyone. That was Jesus' life. An avatar connects humans to God. He is born to take the humanity across the ocean of samsara for ages, like Hugh's law. There are people who help others in many ways. Sometimes our even small words can give us solace to an aching soul, a disturbed mind, little of love, sympathy. But avatars, when they come, they help the whole humanity. How they can cross the samsara, the disturbance. And this is not for that time alone, it is for ages to come. Have avatars no human limitations? What is actually avatar? Are they like human weaknesses, human limitations are there or not? So, yes, some of they are there. Swami Sri Ramakrishna said, you see, my hand is broken, when it will be cured? Like a small boy used to say, somehow he fell down, seeing the vision of Almighty and forgot himself and fell down and broke his arm. And he used to always ask, my hand is broken and it is aching, when it will be cured? It was that thing. Like a simple child he used to ask. He was avatar. For him body was nothing. He was the soul. He was always in that awareness. Why this happened? This happens and this should happen also. Avatara, the God in human form, is intermediary between the supreme knowledge, supreme self and this human mass. So that they connect them. Otherwise, they will not be connected. When we find Sri Ramakrishna also suffering a little with pain, then we say, then we feel, oh, he's also like us. Though they are classed by themselves, but to relate to them and to follow them, we have to feel them. They are like one of us. Otherwise, how will we follow? That's how it's just avatars. All avatars are like that. They may have some human limitations, but unlike us, which cannot do without limitation, which are bound by our limitation, avatars, they impose themselves with limitations. They just take that limitation so that they can take humanity along with them, so that they can connect with the humanity. Wonderful blending of human and divine, and divinity shines in them through human characteristics, like a midday sun. Someone said that Jesus' life shone in the darkness, and even darkness didn't know that shine. People at the time of Avatara, very few people recognized them as real great avatars. Sri Ramakrishna was the one whom many had recognized. Sri Ramakrishna himself said to Ramachandra, only 12 rishis were there, they recognized him as avatars, that he is the incarnation of God. They don't recognize, but as the time goes on, then they are followed by people. Jesus, during his lifetime, few disciples. What power he had. What spiritual power. Swami Vivekananda says, all the spiritual power that is to unfold through ages to come. not years, not millennia, through ages to come, was compressed in 3 years. And it was given in 3 years of administration. And that was so powerful, it's still unfolding, still affecting and affecting the hearts of the people. That much power this avatara come with. It takes time, ages to come. And we also have power. We also have some power to affect the life of others. But that power is so limited. When we are here, it may affect when you say, speak or teach or try to mold the life of others. It may affect some others, it may not affect. But if it affects, it's for only that person, not beyond that. And in us, Swami Vivekananda says, we live, how long we are remembered? Suppose we live for some time. If we are good, we will be remembered that time. If we are bad, people like to remember as a bad person and gone person and relieve that. And how long? That generation, maybe next generation when our children, maybe up to grandchildren was finished. Not up to great-grandchildren. In many, many cases, grandchildren, even great-grandchildren do not know the name of our great-grandparents. That is our limited existence in the time to come. But these avatars, when they are gone, 2000 years ago, Jesus was not there. And you see now, almost 2000 years ago, few years left. And still people follow him, get solace from him, get light from him. That's why he's the light of the world. And that's why Jesus is adorable to us. We worship Jesus, that's why. Avatars teach to deal the diversity and multiplicity with the constant awareness of the reality of underlying unity. How to deal? We are often get deflected and rejected, and all our problem comes because we see multiplicity. And there is multiplicity, we deal in this. Some person is good, some is not good, some is likable, some is not likable. This diversity and multiplicity, we only deal with these things, and then becomes all the problems of our life. But the avatars, they come, incarnation of the great gurus, Jagat Guru as they come, the teachers of mankind, they teach us, though there is multiplicity in the world, but underlying that multiplicity is the unity. Try to touch that unity. There is divinity that undergoes everything, every being, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita. Arjuna, I am like the thread that passes through the heart of every being. The flower, as the garland is one garland, and it is all united together with the thread that passes through flowers. Like that, whole humanity is sustained as unity because there is a thread, and that thread is the divinity. So they always teach that be aware of the divinity that is underlying this diversity. Avatars are aware of their diverse divinity, and yet they undergo rigorous sadhana. That we find the sadhana, how they do spiritual practice in Sri Ramakrishna's life, we are aware of that. In Jesus' life, we don't know. We don't know in Krishna's life, we don't know in Rama's life. Buddha's life, we know though. Buddha's life, how much he practiced, we know. But in Jesus' life, what they say that 12 years in his life is not known. That was the time he went to the desert and prayed, that they say. That is the time, some say, they went to far away in other countries, other places, met other teachers, and he did very strenuous, rigorous spiritual practice, and then, though he was aware he did incarnation of God, but that is mandatory. When God comes as a human being, he has to take the sadhana. Rama had to do, Krishna had to do, Buddha had to do, Sri Ramakrishna had to do, everyone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everyone had to do. Avatar compassion is incomparable. They had, the stories of how some persons were, according to the rule of that time, one lady was being punished with stoning. How Jesus saved them, how much compassion he had. There are so many examples. And their forbearance is beyond any specification. And forgiveness, we see when Jesus says, forgive Lord God, they do not know what they do. If we could say when somebody gives us trouble, by any means, just to say to Lord, forgive him or her. He or she doesn't know what she is doing. So that way, if we could pray for the person and we really could pray for forgiveness, then how the world will be better, how our relation will be better. There will be no bitter reaction in us. We want to be better in the world and eschew all bitterness in our relationship. And that comes through prayer, and that comes by the teaching of an example of these great incarnations of God. And at the end, these incarnations are all full of love for us. Their whole purpose is the love of God takes the form of a human being. And that love comes as Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother and Buddha and Jesus Christ. This love of God, born as human being in Jesus, is what we worship. Thank you.